Hello and welcome to the Rum Revival. It's Arminder here. Now, in the last month, you might have asked yourself the question, hey, I wonder what Arminder's been drinking right now when it comes to cocktails. And friends, let me tell you, I've been thinking the exact same thing. What have I been drinking? What cocktails have I been drinking? Well, luckily, I'm going to answer that question both for you and for me in this video. Normally, this channel is focused on kind of drinking rums neat. That's kind of my thing. There's plenty of other folks that do a great job of talking about rum cocktails. But what I figured I'd do is kind of put together a bunch of separate small videos of me over the last couple of weeks where I've been kind of drinking rum cocktails. And what I've done is kind of shared my thoughts as I'm drinking those cocktails. So I get to share with you the recipes for those cocktails, but maybe more importantly, kind of go through some of the thought process as to why I went with certain rums for those cocktails as opposed to others. So, you know, kind of a deep dive into some of that process, but also just kind of share some really awesome cocktails that I've been enjoying. And yeah, that's the idea here. If this is something that will be of interest to you, then maybe I'll do it kind of on a monthly basis. And if you want to further support this channel, then check out my Patreon page where I have a bunch of exclusive content that you can check out. You also get access to the Rum Revival Discord server where you can chat with other rum lovers. And if you sign up to the VO tier or higher, you get access to our monthly online happy hour where once a month we hang out on Zoom, I guess maybe up to about 2 hours or so, and we drink rum, talk about what's going on and all that fun stuff. So if you want to check that out, check out my Patreon page. Now, before we talk about the cocktails that I've been enjoying, I want to take a moment here and kind of make a bit of an announcement. First of all, you know, kind of a new setup here, the last couple of videos here, and you know, you might have been like trying to take a peek at to like what are some of the things I have here behind me and whatnot. And I wanted to isolate one thing in particular real quick here. That is this bottle right here. This is Saison DuPont. It's a beer. Yes, a beer on a rum channel. And this is one of my favorite beers. And I like beer a lot. Maybe as much as rum, maybe. So much so that, hey, guess what? I've started a second YouTube channel. Yeah, I have a beer-focused YouTube channel called Foam Party. So if you want to hear my thoughts on beers, like specific beers, beer reviews, but kind of beer education, overall thoughts on what's going on in the beer world, then check out that channel. Check out my video where I talk about Saison DuPont. And yeah, I hope to take that same enthusiasm and love I have for rum and focus it on beer as well. I promise it will not be at the expense of this channel here. But yeah, if you want to know a thing or two about beer, check it out, Foam Party. All right, so I want to now cover the cocktails that I've been drinking over the last month. And I want to start with something that you might find kind of boring actually, but I think it's kind of, for me at least, pretty interesting, and that's the Rum and Coke, or Cuba Libre. Why I say that's interesting for me is because I don't really like Coke. I don't really drink soda. In fact, there's probably like a 10-year stretch of my life, 15 even, where I didn't drink it at all. It was kind of like a thing where I made it my whole personality that, you know, like I wasn't drinking soda. And I'll freely admit that was probably pretty obnoxious and annoying, and still not a thing I really kind of do, but I don't know, I was just reading a lot about Cuba Libres and stuff, and then I happened to come across this Libre & Co.'s sugarcane cola syrup, and it caught my eye, and I was like, oh, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna stop pretending like I'm all high and mighty here. And so I started drinking a bunch of Rum and Cokes, or, you know, I guess Cuba Libres. I guess there's nuance there, but it's a Rum and Coke with a splash of lime juice. And so for really my kind of focus this last month was to figure out what's my kind of go-to rum for a Rum and Coke. And for this last month, I focused exclusively on, you know, aged column distilled rums that aren't like, that don't have like big fermentation flavor. So, you know, not Jamaican rums, not even like bold like Guyanese rums. I wanted something that, you know, felt appropriate for a Cuba Libre and a Rum and Coke. So the first thing I did with making a Rum and Coke was, actually I thought of it right away when I saw this and I bought this, and that was the Havana Club 7 from Cuba. And yes, I know it's not a thing you can buy here in the US. Don't tell anyone. But a big reason why I thought of this, well, two reasons. One, the labels seem to kind of complement one another color-wise. So I was like, okay, that's a sign. And to me, this has always seemed like the Cuba Libre rum. I don't know if that's true or not, but in my mind, it always seemed that way. So I made one. And I was kind of bored, frankly. It's 40% ABV, and the flavors kind of get lost in the Rum and Coke. I feel like the Coke kind of really dominates that. So I was kind of bummed out about that. So I thought, okay, where else, what other kind of rums in that style can I explore? So then I thought, well, I know, why not? Santa Teresa 1796. Kind of ran into the same problem. I think I maybe like this a little bit more than the Havana Club 7, but still kind of kind of all Coke forward, you know, Coca-Cola forward, and not a lot of rum going on there. So that was disappointing. Then I tried one more, and I landed on what I think for now at least is my Rum and Coke rum, and that's Ron del Barrilito 3-star from Puerto Rico. It really worked for me. Let me actually, I have a Rum and Coke here. Let me give it a sip here. Cheers. And yeah, so why I really like this is, yes, all the cola flavors are there, obviously, but I feel like I was really getting the heart of the Ron del Barrilito. If you're not familiar, to me, this has a lot of dried fruit, everything from your like dried apricots to dried raisins, and all of that really kind of comes through. In fact, I feel like they're almost, those flavors from the rum are enhanced with the cola and the little splash of lime. Is it like a big, bold, funky Rum and Coke? No, of course not. For many people, this might seem pretty tame, but it gave me what I wanted, which was more of a focus on the rum than the Coke, while still, you know, it's a Rum and Coke. I get it. It's gonna be, you know, the Coke flavors are gonna be a big part of it, and they are there. But I think there's a lot more complementing happening here, while still showcasing the RDB3. And it's probably obnoxious that I just said RDB3, but you know, here we are. Now, after deciding that this was my rum for my Rum and Coke, then I thought, well, what else outside of rum can I kind of add to this cola syrup with some soda water to kind of do something else with it? Now, obviously, my mind went to whiskey and Coke, because that's obviously a very popular thing. And I feel like there's two camps, at least in my opinion, in my limited experience. You either were or started as a Jack and Coke drinker, or a Crown and Coke drinker. Like either you came from a Crown and Coke family or a Jack and Coke family, and I came from a Crown and Coke family. All my uncles, cousins were all about that. Now I didn't really drink a lot growing up. It wasn't until later in my 20s where I started, but I think my first drink was a Crown and Coke, like at a friend or a cousin's wedding. So like I've got that kind of my DNA, but I wasn't gonna go buy a Crown Royal. The low ABV didn't really appeal to me. But in terms of the Jack and Coke, I remember that, oh, Jack lately, last bunch of years, been putting out some really cool, interesting stuff. So I went and bought this guy here, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. This is a single barrel. It is proof down. It's not cask strength. They do offer that, and those are big, bold, and intense. But figured that wasn't really going to work for a rum or a Jack and Coke. But this is 47% ABV, which is to me plenty hefty for a cocktail. So I've tried this like two times now in a Jack and Coke, and I like it. I probably like the Rum and Coke better with the Ron del Barrilito, but in terms of this, I got like a roasted kind of peanut note, not aggressive, but it was there. A little bit of hay, which I kind of liked with the cola flavor, and there was even like a pop of like bubble gum that kind of weirdly worked for me. So I liked it, actually. I haven't explored a bunch of other whiskeys and Coke, and I know that's a whole thing, and at some point I will. But as a good starting place, this was, I think, a good purchase. Now, the last cola thing I'm going to talk about here before I move on to other cocktails is using this in an old fashioned. I had years ago gone to Undertow in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they had a rum old fashioned on the menu that had cola syrup in it, and I loved it. So when I saw this, I thought, okay, I absolutely definitely need to try to not recreate that one, but just make a rum old fashioned with cola syrup. And so I thought, okay, same question like with the Rum and Coke. What rum do I use in my rum old fashioned? And like the first kind of combination of visuals of this and the Havana Club 7, I went with something that I thought also matched the label, and that was Black Tot Finest Caribbean Rum. I don't know, to me that kind of seem, actually very much so, seem like they're very similar kind of labels, or the colors really work well together. To me, the idea of this kind of navy rum inspired kind of flavor profile in a rum old fashioned with cola syrup seemed like a great kind of, like a natural combination. So I did that with a couple dashes of orange bitters, and I liked it. I had shared a picture of my rum old fashioned with the cola syrup on my Discord, and someone said, hey, instead of orange bitters, why don't you try some lime bitters? And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Of course, right? A Rum and Coke, you use a lime juice and a Cuba Libre, right? And so instead of orange bitters, why wouldn't you do lime bitters to kind of mimic that flavor profile? I thought that was brilliant. So I went and bought some Scrappy's lime bitters, and I made it again, have it here. I've made it 2 or 3 times now. Let me take a sip here. freaking brilliant. It's so good. It is definitely a rum old fashioned, but it definitely evokes a Rum and Coke, a Cuba Libre. What's great about this is that the cola definitely takes a lot more of a backseat here than in the Rum and Coke. And so you let the flavors of the rum come through and be the star. It's rum old fashioned after all, right? With the Black Tot, it's a lot of the Guyanese, the Demerara flavors, your burnt caramels, your little coffee, your dark chocolate notes come through. And those are very complementary flavors to the light touch of cola that's here. And then the spice notes, the clove and the cinnamon of the cola syrup, I think are great kind of buddies to the flavors of the Black Tot. And so it's just a very kind of a happy combination of flavors between those two ingredients. And then the lime bitters kind of add this pop of brightness, because all those flavors I described are kind of like deeper, darker flavors. So I think as a nice counterbalance, that bright acidity of the lime is a lovely, lovely touch. I'm sure there might be plenty of other rums that are just as good or maybe even better, but right out of the gate, I'm pretty happy with this, the use of the Black Tot Finest Caribbean, and I'm going to stick with that for a good while. But at some point I will kind of branch out and try other rums. Let me go ahead and finish this. Cheers. Bro. Oh, when I went to buy that cola syrup from Libre & Co., they actually were having a sale, and it was like the more different bottles you buy, the bigger your discount will be. Anytime you get one of those kind of deals, you end up buying things you don't really need, and I did that. I think, like I said, I only needed the cola syrup, but I think I ended up buying 8 or 9 different bottles. 2 of the ones that I bought was their toasted coconut syrup and their tropical passion fruit. This is, I realize, sounds like an ad for them. They're not sponsoring me. They don't know who I am. But I bought these, passion fruit and coconut, and I was like, why did I buy these? Because frankly, if I'm being very honest, in my cocktails and my tiki drinks even, I'm not the biggest fan of coconut or passion fruit. I feel like they dominate the flavor profiles of the drinks, and it's just, generally not my thing. But I bought them anyways because of the discount. So then I went through their website to find cocktails that use those syrups, and I came across something called Garden of Funk. This is by the Weekend mixologist, or Barlow Gilmore, I think is his name. But what really caught my eye about this was the fact that it had absinthe in it, and it had Jamaican rum. And I actually love that combo of Jamaican rum and absinthe, but more so than anything else, it was half an ounce of absinthe that it was called for in the recipe. That really caught my eye. I was like, oh, whoa. The recipe on the Libre & Co. website just says like 1 ounce rum, 1 ounce aged rum. Incredibly useless, right? It doesn't tell you anything. And then I think a float of a Jamaican overproof rum, and that obviously caught my eye as well. But the more I looked into it and found the Weekend mixologist's socials, at least originally, what he was using was Probitas, Rum Bar Gold, and then Rum Bar Overproof. And so I made it because I had all those bottles, and it was okay, absinthe forward for sure. It was juicy and absinthe forward, not the worst thing, but I felt like the Jamaican rum kind of got lost. Even the Rum Bar Overproof in that mix kind of got lost. So I was kind of bummed out. It wasn't what I expected it was going to taste like. So that was that. But what I have here is a revised version. I haven't tried it yet. What I did was I kept everything in there, but instead of the 1 ounce of Probitas and 1 ounce of the Rum Bar Gold, I went with 2 ounces of Worthy Park Select, which is essentially Rum Bar Gold, but aged a little longer, maybe an extra year or so. So it still kind of has that Worthy Parkness. 2 ounces of that, and then the float of Jamaican rum, instead of doing the Rum Bar Overproof, I went with one of my favorite rums, period, and that's Worthy Park 109. The molasses flavor that you get in the Worthy Park 109, I hope that adds a little bit more kind of deeper base notes, I guess, that I felt like the cocktail was kind of missing. Cheers. Yeah, okay. This is more in my speed, more what I was hoping the cocktail would be. Yes, absinthe, but I feel like now, in this version, absinthe is a little less dominating. And that absinthe passion fruit combo is a lovely combo. I didn't pick up that kind of harmony between those two flavors the first iteration, but here it's really nice. Yeah, so there's just a little bit more heavier rum character here that really kind of puts the overall juiciness in check, and that absinthe in check. The coconut, I think, is super, super subtle. I guess that's only a 1/4 ounce. It's kind of how I prefer it. I just like it to be a little bit of an accent and not providing too much heavy coconut or too much texture. Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good. On to the next one. For the next cocktail, it's actually made with this bottle right here. It's the St. Benevolence Mango. I just bought this a week or so ago. This is a Haitian Clarin from Haiti. cane juice rum, a mix of unaged and aged, I think about a year or so. And mixed with it is a bunch of mango varietals, hence the name, St. Benevolence Mango, but there's also some lime zest and some cinnamon, bottled at 42% ABV. And when I heard about this, and then when I bought it, my mind went to immediately making a highball, which I have here. I've already made a couple with these. This is my second or third one here. I did that instead of making a daiquiri first, because usually I think a lot of folks, when they get a new bottle of rum, their mind goes to making a daiquiri with it. For whatever reason, I figured this might be good in a highball, and that's what I did. And I'll tell you right now, I really enjoyed it. So here's another one. Cheers. Oh, yeah, man, that is, the mango comes alive. So drinking it neat, it's nice enough, but I think the mango is kind of a little muted, but once you add some water, some bubbles, holy hell, man, that mango just comes alive. Beautiful, like, dimensions, a really nice lingering finish. It feels like a really vibrant mango flavor, not just sweet, but there's like a little tartness. Part of that tartness probably is coming from the squeeze of lime juice that I put in here, and just the lime zest in general that's in the Clarin. But man, it comes together so nicely. It's bright, it's spritzy, it's a perfect summer drink. And like, I always go into the summer like having in my mind things that I think might become my, drinks of the summer kind of situation. I think this is close to, if not on the top of my list, of something that I think I'll be drinking a lot of in really triple digit weather, really hot weather. It's just refreshing and has such the most beautiful mango flavor. Oh, and that little bit of cinnamon kind of just comes in as a little bit of an accent. Just a very gentle cinnamon, just to add more depth, more nuance. So the next cocktail is the Sacred and Profane. I found this also on the Rum and Coke website. It calls for coconut syrup, or I guess cream of coconut probably would work here, some lime juice, some green chartreuse, just like a small amount, and then 2 ounces of an Agricole Blanc. I went with the Clément because I think that's where the recipe kind of originated with this. Couldn't find the actual creator or the bartender. This is not a rum I particularly like to sip on neat. It's not all that, I think, interesting, but if I can ever find a use for it in cocktails, I will always give it a go. And here we are. Let's give it a sip. I've had this a couple times now, but cheers. That's a really good combination of flavors. I was really scared of this cocktail at first, but I wanted to make it because, again, the coconut kind of scared me. But I was having a particularly rough day, like physically, parts of my body were hurting and was exhausted, didn't sleep much. I needed to take a bath. It's not a thing I really do, but I needed a bath, but I also wanted a cocktail at the same time. So I wanted something that was like light and refreshing while I was taking my bath. Probably too much detail. You don't need to picture me naked, I guess, but here we are. And for some reason this kind of cocktail sounded like that unaged cane juice kind of cocktail. Historically for me is like a nice summery cocktail. So the idea of this cocktail kind of put me in that headspace. And like, that's exactly the kind of cocktail I need while I'm soaking in the tub. And this is exactly the kind of cocktail it ended up turning out to be. Light, fluffy, fresh, refreshing, vibrant, without being overly kind of intense or complicated. The 40% ABV of the Clément is like the perfect amount of cane juice flavor. The quarter ounce of the chartreuse is just enough to give you that herbal chartreuse flavor. And the coconut, at least this version of the coconut, again, it's not a commercial for Rum and Coke. They didn't send me this. I paid cold hard cash for these syrups, but it's not overly heavy. It's not overly lotiony. Sometimes that coconut flavor can be lotiony. None of that. It's just light, airy, fluffy, just a great cocktail without screaming that you're drinking a coconut cocktail. And so seriously, for me, this is going to be another one of those kind of, as I get into the summer, as we're in the middle of summer, I'm going to be knocking back a bunch of these. So here we go. Cheers. Okay, folks, here is my very last drink in the video. This is Paradise Lost. It's by Shannon Tebay. This was in the Death & Co book, or one of them. I think it's the Welcome Home book. And what caught my eye, why I wanted to make this, was this bottle right here, St. George's Green Chili Vodka. I've had this bottle for 10, 12 years, whenever it first came out, at least a decade. And in that course of that 10 years, I've only used this much of it. Most of it, which was for this. It's been burning a hole in my pantry. I was like, yo, I found a recipe that calls for it. Okay, I'm gonna make it. So this is like the second or third time. And in terms of rum jam, I think the recipe calls for their 100 proof, the 50%. I only have a bottle of the 55. I'll take a little more ABV. It's that plus some yellow chartreuse, some lime juice, and some pineapple gum syrup. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. Man, it's such a great combination of these green flavors, right? You get the green grass of the Rum Jam, of the Agricole, and then you get the green vegetal chili note of that vodka. And there's just a really nice, beautiful blending of those two flavors. They kind of seem kind of seamless. I think you get a little herbal pop from the yellow chartreuse, though that provides a little bit of sweetness, and then you get some sweet juiciness of the pineapple gum syrup, and those act like a nice bridge between those kind of really cool green flavors. Really nice. It's like a slightly vegetal, slightly savory cocktail, but it never goes full bore because I think that lime juice and that pineapple gum syrup add plenty of juiciness. So it's more familiar than it's not. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like vegetal savory elements in their cocktails. And I've had a lot of like really intense versions of those kind of things. I love those things, but those aren't for everyone. But here, that pineapple and that lime make it much more familiar and comforting while kind of introducing some of those more, for some people out there, more kind of vegetal green elements of that chili and of the Agricole. Really, really awesome drink. All right, and that's the video. Hopefully this was kind of an interesting format. Let me know down below if you like this format. If so, then I'll try to do it like on a monthly basis. And more importantly, let me know what are the cocktails that you have been enjoying. And also, I'm very curious, like what rums have you been using in those particular cocktails? Do you have a favorite rum you like to mix with more than any others? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. And thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Cheers. Oh, and like, subscribe, but also check out the Patreon, check out the Discord, check out the monthly happy hours, all that stuff. Oh, and check out my new YouTube channel, Foam Party. Check out the new beer channel. I'm really excited about it. I've got a lot of fun ideas. Some ideas to do some blinds, tasting a bunch of like stouts blind, a bunch of pilsners blind, and then getting into education about what's the difference between a German pilsner versus an Italian pilsner versus a Czech pilsner, all that kind of stuff. And of course there'll be IPA stuff because I know people love their IPAs. I say that as if I don't, I do, but I don't want it to be all about IPAs, you know what I mean? That's what sells, I guess. But like this is going to talk about all of beer, not just hoppy IPAs. It's going to be the whole gamut. Anyways, I'm going to go back to this. Cheers.